Greetings humanity, and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is our campaign of Bookhounds of London, a framework for Trail of Cthulhu by Pelgrane Press. We're going to go ahead and go around and say hi to the folks we have with us currently, starting with Celeste. Hello.
Hi, everybody, and I'm going to shout out to non-humanity. I'm sure you're out there. I'm sure you're watching. We do like you. We're not trying to be like, we're not trying to leave you guys out. Hi, I'm Celeste. I use they or he pronouns. I'm going to be playing Phineas Webb, the bookseller, using he, him pronouns. Phineas is having a time. Like, this was just supposed to be like a milk run, so to speak, to get like some stuff and some things and take care of some shit. And I guess it's more than that now. Yay! When is anything simple? God, it's nothing easy. We need an infomercial for this. Anyway, we'll see what he gets up to, and if he survives. He's an older guy. We don't know how much longer he's got left. People seem to think he doesn't have long. That's possibly the case.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure everything's just fine. Non-humans will do as they will, but it is honestly, really, I feel they understand inherently that I included them, even though I did not do it verbally. They know. They know. You know who you are. And now let's move on to Hollow. Hello.
Hi, I'm Hollow. I use he, him pronouns, and my character, Matthias Dawn, also uses he, him pronouns. Matthias is a relatively young guy for a guy who does a bunch of drugs and gets into a lot of danger. I mean, he's young at heart, you know. He's got a lot of spirit. Whether he's long for this world is really up to the gun he keeps waving around that he has no trigger discipline for, and how much occult I can spend in one night before I go. But is it ever really a milk run? Is it?
It's well, yes. If by milk run you mean your definition of milk is expanded to include basically the horrors from beyond reality, I think that's.
Yeah, I am absolutely sure that if Matthias ever was cursed with any children, he would definitely be, I'm going to go get some cigarettes and some milk, and then that would turn into a horrible eldritch adventure.
I'm just imagining this now. It's what if every person who delivers milk actually has to do it through transdimensional portals?
I now am, like, in the back of my mind, plotting an entire Shadowrun game based off of the cigarettes and milk run gone awry.
Excellent. So let's see. Danielle and Lynn have real life stuff going on. There is a chance that Danielle might be appearing at some point in the second half, possibly. We will see. But if not, no worries. Lifes. Of course, this evening I am playing Kyle Llewellyn, a modestly important Welshman. That is clearly who he is. He is clearly not a criminal by the name of Kenneth Findlay. We'll have to see what happens. And before I hand things off to our keeper, as a reminder, you may see us use safety tools from time to time. Like we do with the other games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If at any point we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, hold up a card, make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. And finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much, then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an O, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. We're also using the pause. If any of us needs to take some time, we can ask for a pause in the game while we discuss things, or just take a break for as long as anyone needs. As a reminder, just a few content warnings. This game may make references to abuse of power, asphyxiation, betrayal, body horror, boiling fluids, cannibalism, chemicals, classicism, cults, darkness, drowning, drugs, eldritch horror, explosions, exposure to harsh weather or hard vacuum, fire, gaslighting, glass, gore, greed, harsh light, heights, hostility, imperialism, insects, loud noises, mental illness, murder, mutation, nightmare imagery, poverty, the demonic, theft, vampirism, vehicular accidents, and war imagery. It may also have the potential for PvP action depending on the player's choices. If you're watching live on Twitch and you want to see the listing of all the content warnings in chat, you can go to chat and type !book CW, and that will display it. It'll also be showing up periodically on rotation. And finally, please remember we have an open door policy, which means that any of us and any of you can feel free to step away from this at any time if we need to. It's just a game, and mental health is always more important. And now we shall hand things over to our keeper, Pope. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Pope here. I use he, him pronouns. I will be playing the persona dramate of the world in this case, which will have many and all pronouns. So let's get you up to speed just in case this is your first time with us this evening. There is a lovely bookstore in London on a very particular street, Fleet Street, that deals in used and antiquarian books. Our lovely cast are all members who help with the store's profits in one way, shape, or form. And, well, they have recently, on this day, Valentine's Day, 1931, have gotten their hands on a really peculiar, some would say malevolent, book. And from that point forward, everything has gone awry. One of the other books in the collection, which may or may not have a full-blown demon trapped inside it by John Dee, has made a bargain, which has led to more bargains from the party, which has led them away from what could possibly be Jack the Ripper attending a release party of Dracula across the street, to instead take the last train to Edinburgh, Scotland, from London, to attend a midnight auction of a certain wealthy individual's estate. In the course of said ride, things went very askew. The group was separated into two separate train cars. Matthias, in his infinite wisdom, when encountering the strangeness, performed a blood ritual. That then caused a series of events to happen. For those who were with Matthias, Mr. Dorn, they encountered a whole lot of no one there on the train, followed by the things that are in Nowhere There that are very, very hungry. They may or may not have acquired a bunch of silver on a transdimensional rail ride, and then proceeded to get out of their situation by crashing the train, to which all of them suffered some damage. But in particular, Mr. Dorn is currently unconscious. Meanwhile, the other group found themselves in the Never Never. And they weren't entirely alone. They may have had a up-and-coming demon / queen of hell there with them, and through a series of twisting and turning events, ended up in a future Chicago, and in promising an eldritch individual a series of actions that they are supposed to take this very evening, managed to get their way back through time and space to the platform as the train pulled into the station. As the entire group reconvened, an unconscious Mr. Dorn in tow, I believe you all were going to head to the local university to see about patching some wounds, maybe mild resurrecting of Mr. Dorn. And you know, it's Edinburgh.
He's only mostly dead.
It means he's slightly alive.
I lived, bitch.
Again. But they are all in what I am borrowing from a friend, hi Lydia, the most haunted city in all of Scotland. A city built upon warrens, filled and sometimes still walled of the plagued dead. So, are you calling a cab, or are you hoofing it from the station to the university?
Well, that depends. How dire is the need for medical assistance?
A number of people are very thoroughly bruised. There may or may not be bruises to which bone may or may not be broken. And there's one of you who most definitely has a series of contusions, is breathing raggedly, and is not conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're hailing a captain.
You basically see a sort of just sort of Weekend at Bernieing
Yeah.
Matthias trying to sort of
Weekend at
have him
Bernie's would be
between us
easier. We'd
as
have a
we're trying
wheelchair.
to like make it look like
Okay.
he's just had one too many.
There we go.
So I love that is too good. That is too good. So to paint for all of you at home a picture, our two lovely significant others are carrying the luggage for most everyone, and then the other four are burning Mr. Dorn into the carriage.
Everything is fine.
Nothing is fine.
Everything is a-okay.
So
Yeah.
you depart the station. As you do so, just on the edge of the border of Edinburgh, a large storm front is starting to roll in.
There's my
Great.
ego.
Fantastic. Who was it that said things couldn't get any worse? Who was it?
Oh,
The
I'm
thunder,
here, what a surprise.
the thunder and lightning are currently off in the distance. You take your carriage, and as you do so, you can see the castle from the street. You have to, because it is one of the two high points in the city. And as you make your way closer and closer to Arthur's Seat, you come closer and closer to the university.
Yeah, I will just mention, Phineas, you will notice that Kenneth and Lillian are both somewhat injured. Kenneth is like bruised a bit.
Do I want to know what happened exactly?
The train didn't like us.
It didn't like myself and Evie either, but we didn't come out looking like we'd been in a row with it.
I had to fight a giant cannonball.
So I was right about the row.
You're eating up the end of the train. It was delightful.
Well, you're live, mostly, he says, looking at Matthias. Did you sell any portions of your soul, or?
No, actually, managed to get a hold of a few things to sell, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll make sure you get an appropriate cut.
I don't know if it's gonna, well, I don't know if it's the type of stuff you want to sell in the store. Might have to find a better venue for it, quite honestly.
I trust your
And-
expertise and your connections.
He'll just smile. He'll just smile. It looks like he's got slightly a crazed look. It's a calm crazed look right now, which is sort of like.
Phineas is entirely unfazed. Like literally one of my pillars of sanity is you can always trust a dishonest man to be dishonest.
That's fair. No, we're right there.
I'm about to have a heart attack and die from not surprise.
Yeah. No. Do you know anyone who likes strange caviar? That one might be harder.
Julian doesn't. I'm certain he knows someone who does.
Sort of nods.
I may need an additional favor from you by the end of this. We might be upgrading. We might be upgrading to arson.
And he just sort of, is there like something separating us from the front seat?
Yes.
Oh, good. so the cabbie theoretically can't hear us. This is like, well, that's not my specialty.
No, but I'm certain you can get the job done.
I mean, we can. I just sort of glance over at Nev to see how she's doing.
Nev is bruised and has pulled out a small flask at this point.
What's our rate for arson, love?
This evening keeps getting worse.
Aye.
And she just hands you.
Yeah.
It is a fortified brandy.
Mm.
As you take your swig, you end up at the medical campus of the university. I have news.
Oh,
dear.
fun.
There were a lot of people here.
Hmm.
Apparently, there is a lecture going on.
Fun.
A medical lecture. There are a lot of students, doctors, all sorts of people here right now. Apparently, they're doing something they haven't done in the university for a long time. A full-on vivisection.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
They are to an auditorium taking apart a human body.
A living human body.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe.
You just specified vivisection.
Well, would you like to attend?
Yeah. Did Nev say that she knows somebody here, or is?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just basically following whatever she's. I'm just going to basically do what she tells me to do right now because that's
Like she just
how
sort
this
of
works.
like there's a string of curses at just how many people are here.
Mhm.
But then she goes, Mikey doesn't have the luck to actually get time off. Here, let's go.
All right. All right. We'll sort of try to get Matthias up and
Yes. And Matthias, all your luggage as this I'm not going to make you roll because it's already a strange enough evening.
Sure.
But you get some odd looks as this little parade of yours, full on 7 individuals cutting through the campus as you head over through a bunch of doors to what is possibly one of the coldest places on site. In a cellar of one of the university buildings is the specimen room. And like you cut through these double doors, which are not locked, into something that is part classroom, part operational theater, that is then slightly separated by these large wood, glass panes that you could kind of see through all the different specimen jars. Nev just goes, Mikey, you there? Oh, yeah, I haven't heard you in a long while. This must be a terrible emergency. You could say some of us were just in a train crash. Need you to bring a man around. Okay, I can part with what I'm reading right now. Please put him on the slab.
Over to the slab.
And you haul Mr. Dorn to the slab. Sorry, I'm having to hold my millennial energy and not go full Courage the Cowardly Dog right here. But he is there, and this individual is 6'11", stooped. Very rolled, hunched shoulders. His hair is buzzed in such a fashion that it is not favorable to his head. He has what is I like to refer to at the attempts of a mustache. With this sort of mousy, sparse, like blonde and red. Comes in and gives you a smile with the most British set of teeth in all of history. Oh, you all, most of you all look quite dreadful. Okay. Over off in the office, you should find a number of first aid kits. If you know what to do, feel free. If you don't, this will take me a bit. It looks like, oh, he is most definitely out. Well, we'll try the Persian smelling salts. And then if not, we might have a few things in back. In all desperation, we will pull out the battery.
What kind of battery does he take?
A few modifications on capacitors of the car battery. It'll either bring him round or most certainly kill him.
Can I watch?
Oh, by all means. I want everything to be educational.
You sort of look over at Nev and I shrug. I do not have first aid, so I will ultimately have to wait until whoever is available that has it can aid me with that. But I'm probably less dinged up than anyone else. I'm guessing. Anyone else that was on the train when it crashed.
One of the more hearty members.
Yes.
I also
like, I'm down 4 from my max. I'll just put it that way.
Well,
I'm not sure where the others are.
First, just because he is trying to be thorough. Gets an IV in because, well, let's just see if this is just surface level and the pain of being poked will all of a sudden bring him around. Nope. So with that secured, he then comes with this like tiny wooden box. Takes a pair of tongs, gets a vial out. You see he's put on heavier gloves. Gets the tongs close to Mr. Thorne's nose and then ever so gently removes the stopper in the vial. There is no need to roll. Mr. Dorn, you are terribly awake. Terribly awake.
Horrible.
Still good.
I guess this means you won't be bringing out the battery then.
Unfortunately, no. There's no need to bring out the battery.
All right.
Yes,
Head to where-
terribly unfortunate.
Where's the first aid kit?
It takes the ministrations of this not quite giant a while, but he has patched you all up. He offers you all some mysterious looking hard candy.
I will once again look to Nev before it, because she knows this person. I will look to her before I accept the hard candy.
She gives you a look like it says, it's impolite to say no, but God's help you don't eat it.
And he'll say, "Hey, thanks, Doc." And he'll take it and just sort of toss it in the air and then pocket it.
As you pocket it, it gets some sort of powder emerges from the wrapper onto your fingers.
Oh dear.
And the smell is best described as peppermint extract that has lived and been soiled in Hellboy's pockets.
Ah.
It has the distinct smell of somewhat rancid food, tobacco, just a hint of cat urine. It is as noxious as it is unctuous on your hand.
It's sort of like, I'm never going in that pocket again. Go wash my hand a little bit.
It takes a while, and I've already checked. They do have like the really good hand soap at this point in time. And you notice that like the only soap here is the industrial grade grit soap. And you're able to get the feeling off, but you got like even more off. Like it's almost like you didn't quite fully deglove your hand, but it was getting there.
Yeah.
Phineas does take one very gingerly by the corner of the wrapper.
Even with like, again, we're having a black books moment. I'm just picturing this frail gentleman just like from the hand that may as well be a candy bowl. Just these two tiny pinches of a finger on the edge of one of these wrappers, as it is almost like a claw machine. You are so desperate not to get this thing as you bring it closer, and that smell wafts. Not quite as potent as whatever it is that brought Mr. Dorn back from the land of unconsciousness, but may as well be a distant cousin. You gingerly deposit in one of your pockets, most likely to never be opened again. Each of you go through this horrific pantomime, dealing with Mikey's generosity, as his tender ministrations have brought everyone to at least full consciousness, if not slightly on edge. Just as you were all patched up, it is as though fate itself has decided to spit in your eyes as the heavens open up in one of the most Scottish downpours to ever exist. For those living in Scotland can attest, there is nothing quite like that cold, pounding rain. The wind seems to almost blow it sideways. And it's not so hard that you can't see like earlier in the day. Oh no, you can see perfectly. But you also feel the temperature dip by at least 10 degrees. It is frigid. So, what do you all do?
Well, Phineas looks at Matthias first, just to make sure that he's like all right. Like he's alive, yes. Is he like fully functional?
He is alive and hydrated, but everything else I will leave to our industrious Mr. Dorn.
Well, you know, you could have just used heroin.
Mikey overhears. No, last time I did that, they went into a coma.
That's weakness.
He's fine. If everybody's feeling all right, then we should move on because we have an auction to catch.
Oh, did I not sleep through that?
No.
No, afraid not.
Damn.
Now, for those of you who are injured, you can each roll me a d4, and that is how much you get back.
Ah.
So Kenneth gets 3 back.
Kyle.
Kyle. No, only apparently only Kyle gets 3 back, and then once he takes the disguise off, he'll immediately get injured again by midstream.
That would be horrific if only the personas that you wear get healed at any given time. And Mr. Dorn in typical form gets 2 back.
Right, baby.
Never more than a hair's breadth from unconsciousness.
That's how you keep yourself, on the edge.
Well, now that the bulk of you are patched and reunited, the storm has definitely hit. What are you all doing?
So the auction was at the university.
No,
No.
No, we went to the university to get healed.
Brain bad.
the auction takes place at a private residence above one of the shops along the Royal Mile. This little converted apartment turned auction house.
Mm-hmm.
Building itself is 4 stories and has one of the rarest things that you can find in Scotland: separation between the other buildings by alleys. Exceptionally narrow, always treacherous, and made of stone.
I guess we're going there then. As much as some of us might be interested in the vivisection, we did come here for a specific purpose.
So are you going to attempt to call another cab, or are you going to hoof it through the rain?
Put it to a vote. Who's for the rain? Who's for the cab?
I am never going to vote for being in the rain. Why is anybody even asking me about the rain?
All right, I guess we're calling another cab then. I knew I should have told the other one to wait, but I didn't know how long we'd be or where we were going next. So
That is fair.
There might be a couple, waiting around because if we're leaving while the vivisection is still happening. Who would want to miss that?
Who would indeed? Though, as you are all going about trying to find your cab, I would like all of you, and I do mean all of you, to give me a sense trouble roll.
Oh, goody.
oh boy.
Well, Let me see. I have a couple of points in that, so I'm going to spend one of them.
Same.
We sense the exact same amount of trouble. Which is probably not much.
This is delightful. Aside from the inclement weather and maybe some long shadows within the lamplight and the lights of the university, nothing at all seems amiss.
Yay.
So, there is one or two cabs that are, in fact, waiting outside. It takes you some finagling. But I also know just the sheer number of you and therefore your pooled resources can get this cab to take you. As you are riding away, the audience at least gets to see in the background that our intrepid group is being followed by what they have not seen. They go down these wonderful cobbled streets, heading to the Royal Mile, past a number of buildings that usually house, and for the longest time did house, professors, scholars, etc., other doctors of the university, one of which remains empty due to the fact of a number of unsolved suicides? Question mark? Strange things where this one tiny little home has seen the deaths of no less than 3 individuals, all seemingly tied to its attic. It has a window, as all the attics do, but this one in particular seems to look vaguely familiar and out of place amongst the other homes. And so your cab drives on past, all of you none the wiser, to the window, to what's following you, to what awaits you. As you are free to discuss strategy as you are coming up along the Royal Mile. All of maybe, I want to say, with all the patching up, you have like 20 minutes before the auction is to begin.
I'm not even certain what it is at this point that we're like, obviously it's books and it's a big score, but like I don't know the value, I don't know the type. We haven't had a chance to do research on this mother lode, so to speak.
Well, I think that given the enthusiastic nature that our competitors left um, for this endeavor, I am sure that what is to be obtained will make itself known quite quickly in the atmosphere of any auction house.
Sorry, there's my roommate.
Very good.
Now, just to remind the players, because I know it's going to need to, as part of your bargain, find Peter, and he must die. Not necessarily by Lyn's hands, but I mean, he needs to definitely go bye-bye.
Mhm.
The sacrifice being absolutely imperative put upon those of you who commune with a certain Mr. Botch. Also, yeah, there's this entire thing about the building needing to burn down.
Was burn it down, keep Lillian alive, and then a third thing that escapes me at the moment. Oh, don't solve the puzzle box. I remember.
Don't solve the puzzle box.
We were not there for any of that. We do not know not to solve the puzzle box.
No. Apparently, this isn't being discussed, which is
puzzle
even more
box.
delightful.
We haven't really said much, no.
Solve
fine.
a puzzle box, you say? My favorite. You know, back in my day, the lament configuration was my favorite.
Dude,
I think it's funnier if we don't talk about it.
Yep, it's funnier.
Excellent.
So yeah, let's go score a score and kill a guy and burn a place down. It's great.
So, you guys enter, and you come upon your first hurdle. Shorter, but definitely wider than Mikey, are two local toughs who are outside this establishment. Welcome. Hi, Danielle. It is good to have you here, especially now that we are just getting to the auction. Or about to. As let me bring you quickly up to speed. You are in Edinburgh. You and, of course, Phineas have made a bargain to get back to your date and time. And have a list of 3 very important things, which apparently in your entire time getting back together, none of you have discussed. Those who had a unfortunate train accident, all went together to the local University of Edinburgh, Nev, Kenneth, who is currently Kyle, a modestly important Welshman, knew a certain doctor, medical student, something, at the university who was able to patch everyone together, bring Mr. Dorn round, and give you all begrudgingly candy of ill repute and scent. You are likely never opening that pocket ever again. Just as you were getting wrapped up with patching everybody's boo-boos, a storm came rolling. One not quite as harsh as the one in London, but definitely colder and with more horizontal blowing wind. You managed to grab a cab. And because it is absolutely perfect, everyone failed their sense trouble checks. As they were leaving the university, so you all are ignorant to whatever threats, terrors are following you, as well as one that could have been said wildly important harbinger of doom. But now you are in front of what is a storefront and series of apartments and offices that has all been converted, it seems, recently into an auction house. It is one along the Royal Mile and is one of few of the stone and brick buildings that is actually separated on both sides from the other buildings adjacent to it by narrow alleyways, quite perilous, and may or may not be harbinging ghosts of the plague. But that's neither here nor there. You need to get inside, and currently there are two of Edinburgh's finest, widest toughs in front of the building, and of which you need to, in some way, shape, or form, gain entry. How would you all like to go about this?
I will tell you, my first instinct is try not to be seen.
Oh, that's not Evie's first instinct. Evie's first instinct is to go up and start flirting.
Oh yeah, no. You can. Oh, you're welcome to do that.
Well,
Kenneth is trying not to be seen. I mean, granted, there's so many. They don't know him personally. Most of them probably, but you never know.
But they are outside the door, as if they're guarding the door, right? Like that's like what they're.
Oh yeah, they are dressed in their Sunday best.
Excellent. Yeah. My
For
first instinct would be
men who probably have never once said pardon to God.
Well, neither have I. That has to stop me from being in a church.
But first, yes, Mr. Llewellyn, how would you like to not be seen?
Well, I mean, I hear a bush is pretty cool, but they might blow that up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's funny. Most things you hide behind when you try not to be seen get blown up. I don't understand why. But so he'll turn his cap down, and it's a thing where it's like if the he'll probably stay in the cab for as long as he can, but then realize he'll need to move with the people coming in. So he's just going to kind of like do the thing where it's like, keeping his eyes down, keeping his cap, that, his try to rely on his disguise to an extent, and not just try not to call attention to himself, and try to work it so that there's always somebody kind of between him and the thugs.
Well, hopefully the puppy of good luck is with you.
Yeah. You shall try to be stealthful, basically.
Would you like to roll disguise, stealth? How are you going about your...
I have no
Not being
disguise
su-
ability, so so someone else might have rolled disguise at one point when they dressed me, but I'm going to go with stealth.
Okay.
Is that I have points in, and I will spend 2 of them. 2 of my 4 stealth points, just in case I need to stealth again tonight.
There's likelihood.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to off somebody, so probably not a terrible idea. All right.
There's a lot of things that are supposed to happen tonight.
That's fair. 7.
By an angel's feather, you are not paid attention to.
Yay!
The green suit that your beloved has dressed you in, and your own way of noting people's sight lines has managed to, at least for the moment, conceal the truth of you. Now, Evie,
Yes.
you said you were like a bullet heading to flirts with these
Oh, yeah.
2 oafs of men.
Absolutely. She's absolutely going to flirt away. And actually, I assume Grace is still with us.
Yes, she strangely, miraculously, came to with a very spotty memory when you guys got out of the cab.
That's a blessing in disguise. Um, I have to assume that Evie and Grace have done this at some point, as Evie and most of her girlfriends probably have had to do at some point, where they like have done we're just like pretty girls, let us in, like, and flirted to like get away with murder, essentially. Or at least to get into different buildings, even though, they're not actually interested in any of the men.
A long and time-honored tradition
Yeah,
at
exactly.
this point in time.
Exactly. So yeah, I think she goes up and just makes like a full show of it. Honestly, if you're gonna make me roll, I'm really aiming for the flattery roll here. Like she is making a point of complimenting them on how strong they look, whatever would be appropriate, and then when the right moment comes, like, oh, would you please just let us inside, like, really laying it on thick.
So go ahead for your flattery rolls against Huey and Louie.
Huey
Where's Dewey?
I mean, this is better than
inside, probably.
plan.
Most likely.
8.
Upstairs with Uncle Scrooge.
Huey is most definitely taken with you. It's very... He's got orange cat energy.
He's a big dumb boy.
He might, on a good occasion, have 2 neurons to rub together. Sweet, built like a tank that runs on bacon.
Likes to hang upside down.
And then there's Louis, who is slightly less muscled, more balding, also more brains. Who Finley does not mind you and Grace's affections in any way, shape, or form, but also knows that the 2 of them are being looked at. And as much as Huey is going, come on, just lay with me. Louis going, we know the weather's terrible. A number of people have already seemingly misplaced their papers, but at the same time, there's going to be 2 breaks this year. You're fined for at least being in there till the first break. But then we're going to check on everybody and make sure that everyone is supposed to be here. No matter how beautiful the 2 of you are. Is that understandable at the very least? All right. And grudgingly, he lets you in.
That's fine. All I needed was the foot in the door. Deal with the rest of it when we get to it.
I'm assuming she's gonna find us a back entrance to let us in or something.
Yeah, that actually was my plan, was to then go, like, once we're in, go look for a way that it might be easier for the others to get in.
No. She made a high enough to get you all in.
Oh, okay.
Well, there we go.
All right.
It's just he has definitely made note, not necessarily of your faces, but definitely your clothes.
Okay, fair enough.
Carrying, got like an umbrella up and like it's a big sort of bag, this big satchel.
Like the cab delivered you with all of your luggage.
Yeah, that's fair. We've got like everything.
Just bringing our bags in.
Yes. Like, again, you had choices. You decided to get patched up as opposed to just trying to find lodging.
True.
Who needs lodging? Plus, since we have all of our luggage, we can change clothes.
Literally
Yeah.
what I was thinking. I was just like, I think we all brought a change of clothes, so we could go change.
So you come into this building. It is definitely, at least for its probably original purpose, a storefront. But at this evening, all of the shelves are bare. There is a large sign-in book on the counter. And behind it on a small wooden stand, there is a heavy piece of cardstock, and on it is a list of items up for auction. You can hear a number of people seemingly on the floor above you. But for the moment, you are alone with this list.
Absolutely going to go read the list.
Okay. Now, how would you like to appraise said list?
Can I use a cult to appraise said list?
Yes, there are many different skills that can appraise said list. All of them will give you different information.
Well, cult is what she is best at, so I think that is what. And given that we got sent here by the passenger, who I assume is back in her head at this point,
He's been strangely quiet.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, since we got sent here by this demon, essentially, she's looking for things that seem like they might have a particular occult vibe.
Certainly. Mr. Dorn, would you like to make a separate roll, or would you like to aid in Evie's endeavor?
I'll aid in Evie's endeavor. But aiding in this game, do I just spend or do I roll and add?
No, you spend.
Okay. And I'll spend 2.
Okay.
Okay.
You have been donated 2.
Fantastic. Why not?
Nine. Cat, there are many different roles that can be made to get different kinds of information. Here's what you get with the occult. Yes, there are a number of books that are gets on this list. It looks like the list itself at first glance. There are definitely tiers throughout this evening's events. Like it is like a banquet in these different rounds of auction. First is sort of an aperitif of just common but stock and good trade in the occult amongst a number of the books, but not all. The second course is far more valuable in its monetary worth within occult circles. It is the third round where you get to the rare. And then there are things listed there whose titles you know are not books. They sound like book titles, but they are most certainly not. These are curios and curiosities.
Artifacts of some kind.
One of the things that you're able, both of you together, to parse is they are trying to obfuscate these items by using foreign language to disguise them.
What foreign languages?
A mixture of things. It is almost a puzzle in that it is beg, stealing, and borrowing to this distinct pigden for this evening. Bits and pieces of Latin, Greek, Russian.
Evie speaks all of those languages.
So a hand of glory is up for auction.
Wow. Okay.
A monkey's paw. And then what is simply referred to as the orb of joys.
Interesting. I think after reading through this list, Evie's gonna like under her breath just say, "All right, demon, which one are we here for?" And see if Botch responds.
That was when I rolled the happy sad die for your cold. The fun thing is, because it was the two of you, I get to roll twice. Delightful. It rolled the same thing. Would you look at that?
Dubs.
Yes, dubs. Before I explain things, would you all just, for my own personal sake, roll another sense trouble?
Oh, joy.
Okay, spending my other point.
Yeah, same.
Same score as last time. I am locked in. Not in the good way.
Slightly better than last time.
They're improving. One over each other.
Wasn't hard to improve. We'll see how this report does. Okay. So, I have news. Phineas, Evie, it's surprisingly, aside from the shuffling and the hard rain outside, it is distinctly quiet in here. You can even hear a ticking of a clock that seems to be coming from one of the back rooms. And as you asked, there is a notable silence in your head. Phineas, there's a similar level of silence. Mr. Dorn, you do not hear silence in your mind. Instead, you hear the sound of what can only be described as a demon in pain. Muffled, as though gagged. And desperately trying with all of their might to somehow deliver a message that is being choked out of them. But that is not what Kenneth, or I should say Kyle, hears or senses. No. And it makes sense. A criminal, especially one of whose affiliation puts him at odds with this very city and its denizens, would have his head more on a swivel, especially for those things in the corners and in the shadows.
Oh, yes.
You hear over the rain, over the clock, over the shuffling upstairs. You hear something rather upsetting, very distinctive. As you probably borne witness and maybe even experienced walking in irons. And this distinct sound, chains dragging across stone. Also,
Dragging across stone.
Yes.
From upstairs.
From outside.
From outside.
You also know what it. You also are familiar with the sound of a man getting stabbed.
Oh, yeah.
You hear two of those.
Oh, excellent. Does it happen to correspond with where roughly the direction those thugs were standing outside, by any chance?
Roughly, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
All
the
right.
good news is we don't have to change.
Yeah. So of course the first person he's going to tell is going to be Nev, because she's going to be right by him, and he'll
Yeah.
And but anyone else who happens to be just sort of very close. I don't know how many people are in here.
It is just a lot of you on this floor in this room.
Oh, over by where they, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, did they just leave the sign-in book for people to just sign in on the honor system? So
Yes.
There's nobody there watching it? Oh, excellent. Good. So I'll just basically say, I'll say, someone's outside.
Yeah.
Someone?
Uh, sounds like somebody has got manacled or something. Is dragging chains. They just sounds like our two friends outside just got stabbed. I say, and I'm reaching into the bag.
That's going to sound like a terrible thing for me to ask considering past history, but is there a convenient window nearby out of which I might be able to look and ascertain whether Huey and Dewey have been, or Huey and Louie have been stabbed?
You in windows. I don't know.
Again, this was a storefront. Yes, there are windows that you can look out.
She will be discreet about it, like not like positioning herself directly in front of the window or anything, but just kind of like trying to take a peek around to try to see if there are like bodies on the ground outside.
I'm not going to make you roll. I'm just going to take what's already there. Huey and Louie are strangely missing.
Okay, so no bodies on the ground, just they're gone.
They're gone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Evie will turn back to the rest of the group and say, well, I don't know about them being stabbed, but they're certainly no longer at their posts.
We need to move.
Quite. Matthias,
Yes.
is the passenger still talking to you?
Oh, no, I wanted to make sure you weren't having another window episode before I started to tell you anything. They're muffling. I think they might be trapped or being burgled or being kidnapped. You know what? I'm not sure. They sound tied up at the moment, literally. As Matthias like strains to hear, like
That's odd considering they're incorporeal. Well, except for the book.
Maybe something here is suppressing them and making them feel awful. Maybe they haven't had their morning constitutional of opiates. I don't know.
Okay. If at any point they are able to say something, will you let me know? Because my connection seems to have broken.
Oh, I haven't heard them since. Just the first I've heard them since the train. It was a bad day, that train.
It says encountered an error. It's too close.
Okay. So she like takes like a step away from the door. How do we want to proceed?
Oh, what's happening?
Yes, but do we? I mean,
no. I mean, what? Why should we take a step away from the door? What's happening?
Well, the guards are gone. Like,
oh, well, good. They won't come after us.
Well, but I'm concerned about why the guards are gone.
I mean, they were probably shitty people, but
Well,
probably shittier guards.
Well, given what Kenneth said, I'm worried that something did something to them.
Something did something to them, or someone, because those are different.
Either and or both.
No. Because if someone did something to them, that's par for the course. They're thugs.
All right.
Thing did something to them, that's a reason for concern.
Kenneth, you said you heard chains being dragged around, right?
It's kind of like when they put your legs in irons, and so you have a little you got a little metallic shuffle that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about. And so that's kind of the sound that makes.
Okay. There's no good reason for someone with their legs in irons to be outside the doors of this building.
Again, maybe, but probably not.
But probably not. So can we agree it's something then?
We can agree for now something.
All right. Until new evidence comes to light, we can agree it's something, and therefore we should be concerned.
I, when faced with new facts, like to change my opinion.
Please, you are going to have to interrupt us like this. Two of them are going to continue on.
I'm going to take a guest book real quick to make sure that, like, that our people are the people that we're after are here. Like, I'm sure they signed in under pseudonyms. I probably am aware of some of their pseudonyms.
It is a murderer's row of their pseudonyms.
Oh, good.
It is the ones that they use when they need to be somewhere posh.
Okay, cool.
And all of them are signed in.
Cool.
Not only that, because it's you, Phineas.
Okay.
You know that it's not just them that are here.
Okay.
There are a number of some of the most, how do I put this? Wealthy, secretive, and dangerous collectors in the Isles here, as well as pretty much the Mount Rushmore of slimy book agents.
Well, this is a regular rogues gallery then.
Yes, you do not see one reputable individual on the entire list or their pseudonyms.
The best of the worst. The worst of the best? The worst of the worst.
The most hated and cursed.
I see. All right. My suggestion would be to split our attentions. Some of us need to be focusing on the actual auctions. Some of us need to be focusing on the secondary objectives we've come here to complete. I definitely would like Lillian to be working on finding your former paramour.
She just sort of grudgingly narrows her eyes and nods.
And Kenneth, you should probably be assisting with that. Evie, I trust you with procuring any valuable assets that we can manage to find, that we can manage to gain through the intended method at this location. If anybody can get their hands on things that we might not be able to obtain through the intended methods, Matthias, I'm sure I can trust you with that.
Absolutely.
Evie and Matthias are the trouble twins here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we need to be absolutely certain that we get our hands on everything here and get it out of here as quickly as possible, because I intend, once we are done here, to set the place ablaze.
All right. Worth noting that when we took a look at the catalog for the evening, most of the really good items are not up for auction until the third round, which means we will have to be here for a period of time if we wish to acquire them legally.
Right. Take what we can legally, take the rest of it illegally, and get out as quickly as possible.
All right.
And everybody keep your heads on swivels and keep an eye out for anybody who might want to oust us from this venue for one reason or another.
One quick question about the blagging that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Happen to notice any books on the list that might do the same crap that started what we're doing now? Because it'd be a good idea probably for us to leave that here if there's if they had any other books like that here.
I look at Evie.
I mean, GM, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see anything along those lines. There's a number of valuable books in the second round, but none that, hopefully none that would cause any problems of that nature.
None that you recognize.
Yeah.
Though, at the same time, there are a number of items on that list that you weren't familiar on all three.
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend I recognized everything on the list, though.
Right.
All right.
I'm gonna be really weird for a second.
Oh,
Go
now.
for it.
Yes.
Can I
Very good.
Do it.
Can I give the list a look with theology?
Oh, yes, please.
Go from the other end of things, so to speak.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm just going to use both of my points because when else am I going to use this? Oh, nice. I'm rather pleased with that.
Very good. I can't quite do a Tim Curry impersonation, but yes. Phineas, again, you are not unfamiliar with the occult, but you are very familiar with books of all sorts. And when it comes to things of religious significance, there are a number of things that, amongst the common, and in some cases the uncommon, would pass by, but you know of them. There are a number of titles that are essentially a book within a book, where there are tomes that have another book within them if you know how to rearrange the letters. A number of hidden scripts. And there are a few titles whose specific publishing dates line up. Now, what two on the list are actually somewhat victorious. One is going in the second round, and the other one is going as the first thing on offer in the third round. The first one appears to be a collection of Grimm's fairy tales. But if you have the translation to the triptych, as it were, it is actually a what is referred to as the Luciferian litanies, a full-on sort of inverse Bible,
Fun.
regaling the tales of the Morning Star and his fallen agents throughout, let there be light to a bit past the crucifixion and what the dark armies were up to, as well as giving, those very important things when something names, it names names.
Nice. That's powerful.
The second one is just titled The Book of Rose and Crowns. This, at appearance, is a early Gothic romance. Poorly written, dripping with shadows. And uh, faint heroines and somewhat even fainter posh people. That is all, guys. This book is purported to have means of summoning things greater and beyond humanity and having congress with them.
Ah. Cool.
Don't let Matthias see this book.
Both
Forget
of
that.
these,
Don't let Celeste get a hold of this book.
both of these are also purported to be cursed.
Fantastic.
Like, I don't want to undersell this. Hope Diamond cursed.
Fun.
That's just a tiptoe through the tulips.
Schmers.
Like, people who transported it died screaming.
Fun. Let's very gently point those out to Evie. We may want to avoid those.
To be clear, avoid or purchase?
Avoid. Anybody who lays their hands on them, even to transport them.
Got it. Mm.
Matthias is luckily looking at the hors d'oeuvres at the time.
Well, you're on the ground floor still. The hors d'oeuvres are upstairs, but there is a menu.
Well, I'm looking at he is carefully looking at the hors d'oeuvre menu, clearly not hearing this wonderful thing. Let's see here. Ooh.
No. I need to know.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Oh,
no. Because of what I rolled, Matthias,
Hmm.
my beautiful gentleman, could you, just roll for me a sense trouble, real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He did not, in fact, hear you. But because you were looking at the menu, old sport,
Roll what?
let me look off the list. I want you actually roll me a credit rating in this instance.
Ooh.
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 Is it still rolling a d6 and then just adding the spending points to your credit rating, or?
Yes.
Okay.
This would be. This is an unusual thing, but the information, I'll say, the level of clues that this can uncover, because of what has been established in Mr. Dorn's past, is actually rather significant.
Okay. I've rolled
Okay.
credit rating.
So not everything pings, but there are some pieces as you are reading the menu that give you an idea as to the identity of those who are holding the auction. You have seen this list before, not in its entirety, but you have seen within your cavorting amongst both hellfire clubs and occult circles. You know whose tastes this are. This could be one or maybe all three individuals who had a rather scandalous falling out with the Golden Dawn. For trafficking with things that no one should. And trying to convert those impressionable younger members to their cause and then them disappearing. The specificity and the decadence on this list is at full display. The listings on specifically where the caviar is from. The pairings of very specifics, wines, cheeses, and fruits. Like they have Turkish fig on salmon. They got Alaskan salmon all the way here. This is a cavalcade of those who have connections and abuse them on the regular.
Bless you.
I see. Well, first order of the night is to order something. Second order of the night is to ruin someone's night.
And that's where we're going to go to break.
I
Excellent.
love it.
Awesome. I have an interview I'm going to throw on from a while back. And we're going to go on break and then we'll return. And I'm sure nothing ominous is going to happen at all. I'm sure we're fine. Clean sailing from here on out. We will see you shortly. Welcome to the break. I am here with James Introcaso, writer and game designer. Greetings.
Greetings.
And we are going to talk a bit about the game Zweihander, which you've been doing some work on. Now, I'm not actually deeply familiar with the game. I've been sort of around the edges of it, so maybe you can help sort of introduce us to this game and what it's about. What is Zweihander and what's it about?
So Zweihander is a game that was created by Danielle Fox, and it's put out by Andrews McMeel Publishing. It is a grim and perilous role-playing game. So it takes place in, assumes that it takes place in a sort of medieval fantasy world. There are firearms and things, so it's around that sort of fire army time. I'm not very good with my world history, as you can tell. But it also has a lot of themes that we would expect probably to see in some older role-playing games. Things like not everybody trusts magic and thinks that maybe it's witchcraft and bad. It's magic is not like used in healing a lot. So a lot of what makes it grim and perilous is that combat in the game and other hazards that you run into are usually very deadly, and you need to look out for that. And you might spend weeks in between adventures kind of recuperating if you take a lot of damage during an adventure and are lucky enough to survive. And you can get infections and that sort of thing. So that's what makes it grim and perilous. But what makes it really interesting is kind of the dark bent that is there, and what toll does adventuring take on people who choose to take up an adventuring life, right? It's about both the physical toll and the mental and emotional toll that can kind of be put upon people who decide that they will take on adventuring. And it uses a D100 system. So it's like a skill-based system. I think it's very similar to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2nd edition. So if you are familiar with that, there's a bunch of different skills. You have a certain percentage in those skills. You roll D100 to see if you get under that percentage. If so, you succeed. If not, you fail. That's sort of the very, very, very basic rules in Zweihander. And it is a ton of fun. It is a lot of fun to play because it's also got a sense of humor to it. And I would say a little bit almost like Evil Dead, right? Like when you're reading the book, there are some little jokes and jabs and things like that. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So for all of its heavy and emotional weight and being about human suffering and things like that, it is also a very fun book to read, and it's a very fun game to play because of those reasons. And it's meant to explore darker themes. It's definitely not one you would want to play like with your kids. This is one for adults in that sense, that it is more violent and more deadly and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's very cool that they're trying to be at least the gritty realism thing. There are, of course, a lot of different varied opinions on how one achieves that, but it sounds like this is a very they're trying to do something that's a good balance.
They are.
Which is good.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rules for resolving things without combat, right? There's really in-depth chase rules for when you're running away from something. How do you get away from it, right? And there's very in-depth social interaction rules because Zweihander assumes like, okay, well, we've made combat very deadly. You're probably not going to resort to combat at first in most situations because you're really taking a risk when you do. And so I really appreciate that, right? Like there's all sorts of different skills that you can use to get out of different situations and overcome obstacles while you're adventuring. It's not just hack, right? It's a lot of like, okay, well, maybe we're going to go into battle. Well, how do we best go in here? Well, let's prepare the battlefield. Let's dig pits for traps, spill lamp oil everywhere so we're ready to light it on fire. Like all that kind of stuff is really, really fun to do and encouraged. And I think what's great about Zweihander is it gives you a lot of the tools to do that. So, right, when I look at some other old school role-playing games, it's hard because it's like, yeah, your players are going to want to do stuff. Let them do it. But they don't give you the tools and mechanics necessarily to go there and do those things when your players improv. This one really does. It gives you a lot of tools to be able to improv and a lot of optional things. This is the core rule book right here. And what I also like about it is I feel like a lot of these grittier old school role-playing games, we don't see a ton of character options, right? It's like you're a wizard, you get one spell level per level, right? Or hey, you're a fighter, your attack bonus goes up +1 each level, and that's it. Zweihander is a super duper customizable, and has a very, very fun character creation system that involves a lot of rolling on random tables to see who you create, and a lot of different character options. And you also get like 3 different professions throughout your career. You start with one, and then when you get to a certain level, add another, and then you add another, and you can mix and match any of them in the book, leading to a lot of different combinations of characters. So I really like that and appreciate that like you're not bored as a player because you can do a lot of different things and you're highly customizable with it.
Nice, nice. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I don't know how mechanical this is in the system, but you did talk about Zweihander addressing the psychological effects of adventuring, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how that game addresses that.
Sure. So there's a couple of different tools in Zweihander for that. One is called corruption. So in Zweihander you have alignment, but it's different than what we know in D&D alignment. You have an alignment that exists on a law and a chaos scale, and you have like 2 ends of that, right? So like one is like your lawful alignment might be like piety, and then your chaotic on that spectrum would be like fanaticism, right? So it's like, hey, these are 2 sides of the same coin. And you have this resource called corruption. And every time you do something that is questionable in nature, and I don't just mean robbing a shopkeep, but certainly that, but also like you leave a bunch of people to fend for themselves with a monster because you want to survive, you gain corruption. And as you gain corruption, then at the end of the session, you make a roll to see, based on how high your corruption is, do you swing more towards your chaotic rank or more towards your lawful rank? And so over time, you build up law and chaos, and you get different things as you achieve those points, right? And on the chaos end of the spectrum, you could like turn into a vampire or become a werewolf or that kind of thing. But you also can take 2 different sort of damage tracks. There's a physical damage track, and then there's a peril track. And peril is like your stress. And so as you become more stressed, things can happen to you that can permanently affect your character, as well as injuries, right? Like you could lose a hand and that affects your character, right? And you can get prosthetics and things like that to help you out. But so there, the same way that damage can have some permanent effects, physical damage, peril can have some permanent effects on your character as well as magic. If you're a magic user, you're like pulling from the chaos, and you can channel that chaos to make your spell more powerful and give it a better chance to succeed. But whenever you do that, you also run the risk of giving yourself some magical kind of manifestations that can permanently or temporarily affect your character. And the same thing is true with stress and with damage. Some injuries only affect your character for a small amount of time, some for a larger amount of time.
Cool. Very cool. Well, now, this, as of this recording, is not out yet, but I understand you're working on a thing that uses Zweihander, are you not?
Yes, I am. So, and it's a full length adventure. And when I say full length, I mean hardcover, gonna be a lot, at least 250,000 words kind of thing, that you could sit down, you'll create characters in the beginning to play it and probably be ready to retire them by the time you are done, right? And so I can't say too much more about that, but I am allowed to say that I am working on that. So I've been doing a very deep dive. Pretty much every day I'm working on the manuscript. Because 250,000 is a lot of words to get that done and to get that into the hands of the various editors and things like that. And I'm play testing it once a week as I am writing. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's very fun for me to work in a system. You know, Burn Bright has one mode. This is a totally different mode for me that I'm used to working in. So I'm very, very excited to be doing that.
Can we say the name of the project?
I don't think we can actually,
Oh, okay.
other
All right, no
than
problem.
TBA's Vihander project. Andrew McMill is currently like looking into the name to see if they can get it.
Oh,
right.
gotcha.
So,
yeah.
we could give it a code name though, if you want, Jim.
Ooh. What should we code it?
Yeah. I will say that the word eternal is probably going to be in the title. I'm just going to leave it there.
Excellent. Awesome. So the code name is Eternal or some synonym thereof.
Right.
Awesome.
Yes.
So if folks are wanting to look into this and see more about it when it's coming out, what should they be keeping an eye on?
They should head on over to, I guess, Zweihander's website, which I believe is zweihander.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at James Intricasso. Worldbuilderblog.com will have updates. That's my blog. And also, if you follow Daniel D. Fox, he is leading the development editing for this. He is at Zweihander RPG on Twitter. So those are all good places where you will definitely be able to find more updates as this comes out.
Awesome, James. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. You're beautiful people.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you folks so much. Well, we're going to throw things back to whatever it is that I'm doing right now. Take care. We will see you all of a sudden.
Yep, we'll see you then. Take it away, future Jim.
We have returned. And there are things outside, apparently. Or a thing outside. And
His it has been established that something is outside.
Yeah. And we're looking at, and there are also terrible things inside, apparently.
No, from two looks at the list of things up for auction, there is a decided concern that there are items of power, occult tomes, some of which allow people to do very questionable things that are very, very cursed. And there is a menu put together by some of the most opulent and least scrupuled individuals on this side of the continent. So, yes, it's a rather dreary set of circumstances, and on top of that, it's raining. Though I do have a quick question for you. It has been established that there is something outside, and that you have all been very specifically not looking at what possibly nabbed Huey and Louie. Is that continuing, or has anyone changed their minds about trying to figure out what happened to those two, I cannot express this enough, very large gentlemen?
You know, I would love to figure out what happened to Huey and Louie, but you know, that involves caring about them.
Does it, though?
That involves being involved?
I have to give you that.
I think just out of a desire to know what's going on so that he can better instruct his team, Phineas is going to crack the door and have a look.
You crack the door, and the wind hits you as bitingly cold. I'm not making you roll as you peer through the door. I need you to give me a sanity test.
Oh, okay. Do I just roll a d6 and then...
Yes, and we see if you hit the number.
Add anything to this? I don't know if this works the same as the usual.
Well, you can spend stability if you want to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In order to guard your sanity.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do 3. That sounds about right. Oh, I'm glad I did.
Oh, that's not good.
I bet that's still bad.
Oh, yes, that's bad. Not only have you spent 3 points of your stability, you have just lost 2 points of your sanity.
Great, I love it.
There is what I'm going to first describe what Phineas sees, and then I'm going to, with your help, figure out what Phineas remembers.
Fun.
So, what does Phineas see? The first distinctive thing. Again, you didn't talk with these men for long, but you did notice things about them. And they both had charmingly brown eyes. One of them is staring at you without a body up from the cobblestones. You can see the viscera that will connect it to the brain, trailing off behind it. And the rain is doing its very Scottish best to clean the mess that was Huey off the cobblestones. But these men weren't just stabbed. These men were torn apart, piece by fleshy piece, by something not industrial, not animal, not human. In that it would take the force of multiple cars impacting bits and pieces of them to do the kind of damage that you are seeing. As there are just tattered bits of them and what they were wearing, dribbling down the Royal Mile. Now, this is particularly traumatic. So tell me, as Phineas closes the door, what is Phineas going to actually remember in this moment?
So I'm gonna answer that question with a question. Does Jello exist at this point in time?
That is an excellent question. I believe it does.
Because I distinctly remember aspects being a thing at some point in history.
They were very big in the 50s. But I know for a fact Cheez-Its are around by this time, but I'll double check for Jello. Because there's always time for Jello.
Yeah. I know that jelly existed. That's what they called it in the UK.
Jello was originally introduced, fun fact, in 1897. So yes.
Cool. So Phineas remembers what he saw, the viscera, the gore. And that's what his brain makes the connection to, is Jello. And for the rest of his life, he is going to be viscerally ill anytime he sees specifically like any of the red colored flavors of Jello.
Strawberry.
Most likely. And he also remembers the smell. I'm certain that even with the downpour, there was a smell. Like that irony smell.
Yeah. Iron, and again, the body is made of many fluids, and they're all being washed away.
Right. So he remembers that smell. He connects in his brain the sight of that with Jello. And I think he's going to have trouble from now on looking anybody in the eye whose eyes are brown.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Phineas is a man with a relatively strong constitution when it comes to seeing disturbing sights. So when he comes back and immediately looks for the nearest waste bin and empties his stomach into it, you know that what he just saw was bad. Was bad, and he is a little fucked up about it. More than a little fucked up about it.
As grimaces and goes, and that's why I did not want to go outside.
Take some deep breaths, Phineas.
We need to get out of here.
Phineas doesn't have like longer hair or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
Standard men's cut of the time.
He's not even not even really off the nape of his neck. It's very conservative.
Oh, good. Men at the Hellfire Club started this whole thing with wearing their hair long, which was a mess, let me tell you.
Are we good to proceed?
Yes, as quickly as possible, please.
I think I don't exaggerate when I say Lillian checks her gun.
Seemed reasonable.
Yeah, seems fair. I guess I'm supposed to head off with Lillian to try to find
Peter.
and
And then
then
see if you can't isolate him.
and see if we can't isolate him, and then afterwards we grab things. That's right. Oh, well, yeah. They may be grabbing things while I'm doing that. I don't know.
There seems to be an order of operations to be.
Do we have, out of curiosity, what are Nev and Grace going to be doing right now, does it seem?
Nev looks kind of worried about Phineas, considering, like, again, in the entire time that she's seen you in London, that man, even as old as he is, has been, like, very stoic.
Yeah.
So she's a little nervous. Grace is, how much with this? Since coming off the train, she's kind of been in a haze. Like, almost as though she is, like, walking through a dream.
He just sort of sees Grace just sort of not reacting to anything. Just sort of glancing back over, sees his reaction, sees Grace not reacting, looks over at Evie. Where did you lot get to? You gonna make it through here?
I think she's going to be fine. It's just, it was a long, far longer than you can imagine train ride. And we don't, it's a really long story. Let's just put it that way. I think she's going to be okay once I can get her home. But in the meantime, I'll keep her close to me. Settle her down with a drink and some hors d'oeuvres in the auction.
All right. So we moving, and I just sort of I just said, and I addressed that to Phineas in an effort to try to just sort of snap him out of whatever it is that he's got going on right now.
Please, we're moving. Please.
All right.
So, a lot of you head upstairs. Instead of being partitioned off into, like, sections of a storefront, back rooms, offices, this floor is exceptionally open. Almost as though it has been purposely converted into almost a dance hall. There's a lot of open space. There are a number of long tables up along the walls. There is a large layout banquets, small hand foods, fine china plates there to serve yourselves, and there is bartender behind a small makeshift bar. There's distinctively on display a selection specifically. Oh, your hosts aren't Scottish because it's all wine. Very good wine, but all wine. Now I can hear Olivia screaming. And we begin to have a hint as to either sensibility or country of origin of your host. As the distinctive, again, you have all not necessarily been of means, but you have at least rubbed up against those who have. And so you know that's from France, that's from France, that's from France, that's from France.
Oh no.
All high-end French wines. All of them.
Phineas is going to make a beeline for the bar, actually.
That makes
Reasonable.
perfect sense.
Like, he's gonna go get himself a glass of 27 Bordeaux. Like, he needs something.
Man, if Phineas is spending, that means I can spend.
Expense account, baby.
I have a feeling the expense account is getting run into on the bar. As at least two of you come walking away with significant, generously sized glasses of fine red wine. As you're able to dig into these exceptionally luxurious appetizers, things that normally wouldn't see all mishmashed together, especially all the way up here in Scotland, let alone Britain itself. Again, Russian caviar with a top fresh cream, a top Alaskan salmon. Quail's eggs, lightly fried, a top Iberian ham. Like this is almost too unctuous, too fatty, too over the top. Again, it is already obscenely expensive in putting out the spread for people to just have that. Let alone, like, the food on its own, if it was allowed to sing, would be gorgeous. But this is almost discordant in how these things are just layered atop of them. And you see that seemingly everyone else has gotten a hold of their wine, their food, and they're milling about, gathered at this one section far off, away from all the food, all the booze, away from the chairs that have been set up in this small stage that's obviously for the auction itself. But as you take closer note, table these, the best of the worst are gathered. You see that it's a table with a large glass case over it. It's not anything that is up for immediate auction. It is a silent auction that is currently ongoing. And the books are all a very distinctive green color. If you want to understand the import of the covers and why they're behind such significant glass, you can give me a library use or a chemistry test.
Bring for the library use.
Library use or chemistry?
Oof. Roll 20 has turned on us.
True. Oh, Hollow, come through.
Nice.
And Hollow, was that library use or chemistry?
Library use. Chemistry. I only care about that if it goes in my body.
That's fair. Okay. Based on your specific knowledge, Mr. Boyd, all of those have a very distinctive green color for a reason. They all come from the same publishing house. A publishing house that, when it was opened, traded in one of England's most beloved colors for their covers as a sign of luxury. Arsenic green. Every book behind that glass is lethal. It's particularly interesting in that many of the selections were this particular publishing house's binding and selling of distinctly American book titles. Including Tom Sawyer.
I see any of our rivals over there?
They're all there.
Yeah, I thought so. That's probably the score they're here to take in.
Books they say they are.
Hmm.
Like they again, they all look exceptionally legit. And considering the precautions behind the thickness of the glass, they seem very real.
Oh, I'm not worried about them being not real. I'm worried about them being something else in addition to what they say they are on the title. 'Cause those are some innocuous titles for all of those books.
Fair. I will give you that, especially given the company that you are currently in.
Right.
Would you like to take a closer look at them, sort of push your way through this small crowd and
Oh,
take
that's
a better look?
That's Matthias' favorite thing is inserting himself in places he doesn't belong. Excuse me. Nope.
Crazy?
You know. What? Hmm?
Um, as Mr. Gorn bullies his way to the front, what would you like to roll to better identify these?
Well, let's see here. Let me look at my list of things. So yeah, they're behind glass. I can't touch them. If I could touch them, they'd kill me anyway. Slowly, but still lethal. I guess I would start by looking at the arrangement of like, the cover and the spine. Like anything I can see from its static position without like, while Matthias is bold, he's not get on stage or get on a plinth bold yet. Well, comma
right.
yet.
You want to give me history, library use, forensics,
I can do
evidence
some
collection?
I can do some history. I got history to spend. Oh, all right.
7. The bulk are what they say they are. Like, specifically, the Twain titles are all distinctly what they say they are. As you actually get a closer look and inspection, there is but one title that is an aberration. It's not American. It's a copy of Peter Pan. Lines up with the publishing house, lines up with the time period, but doesn't line up with everything else on offer. This may be it probably still is legitimately a lethal cover, a lethally bound book, but by your reckoning, Peter Pan isn't what is between those covers.
Have any of our benefactors shown themselves about the evening, or are they doing their usual just stay in the shadows?
They're doing their regular stay in the shadows. If they're who you think they are, they will not show their faces until the auction begins. And then maybe one of them will show themselves for the start.
Well,
Now, I have a question to ask of Phineas and Evie. Are either of you perusing these books, or are you perusing the silent auction sheets?
We would go for the silent auction sheets after getting like a glass of wine for herself and making sure Grace that is settled with some hors d'oeuvres and, also a glass of wine.
I'm leaving Evie to that. I'm keeping an eye on our rivals and keeping an eye out to see if/when any of them clock us as being here on location, so that I can maybe intercept anybody but the one that we're trying to kill. I can't remember his name.
Peter.
Peter. Anybody except for Peter. If anybody except for Peter, clocks us and starts trying to make any sort of moves, my intention is to intercept and catch them in conversation and distract them while the rest of the team does what they need to do.
Okay. I have very distinctive roles I want each of you to make.
Okay.
Evie,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to make a magic test.
Oh boy. How does one do that?
This is to see, I'm looking at your sheet. You actually have 2 dots of magic.
I do. Oh, I do. So I do.
This is your whether or not it's misspent, I'll leave to you. But your understanding of the craft and its manifestations. So you can go ahead and give me that test.
Awesome.
Phineas, this is a sense trouble.
Oh boy, and I don't have any more points in that, so yep. We're raw dogging it, as the kids say.
Raw dogging those sense trouble rolls.
I got a 5 though. That's not bad for
That's
taking
not
it
bad.
straight.
But we'll get to Phineas in a moment. Evie.
Mm-hmm.
As you're working Grace through the appetizer line, getting her settled, you take a better note of the room around you. Because let's just say you've had a very close brush with something very recently.
Mm-hmm. That's valid.
You're noticing how the chairs are set up, the room, the very hors d'oeuvres along the table. Happened to glance up.
Nobody ever looks up.
And up, it's a rather beautiful brass ceiling. Very uncommon for this neck of the woods. It has a very distinct labyrinthine pattern atop it.
Mm.
One you may have glanced at before.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a very distinctive scream over the wind.
Did I perchance see this labyrinthine pattern from a window very, very high up in the air?
Yes.
Joy. And in looking at this labyrinthine pattern on the ceiling and the positioning of everything in the room, do I get the sense that that there may be some form of ritual or something going on as part of the auction itself?
Wouldn't you just think so? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it it seems to be setting up some form of sacrificial ritual.
I knew you were going to say that. Um, based on what I can tell of the components of this ritual, is there any guess I can make as to its purpose other than the sacrificial part of it? Like, obviously, if you do a sacrifice, it is in the service of getting something out of it, right? Can I make a guess at what the getting something out of it is?
Giving the lengths of decadence
Mm-hmm.
that is on display, the fatting of the calves, if you will,
I will.
in ritual parlance, and then that everyone except Peter is most certainly dubious as to what reward they shall receive in the afterlife. It is most assuredly a, how do I put this? Let's use biblical terms. A slaughtering of goats in offering for power. Very potent,
Mm-hmm.
deliberate power.
Mm-hmm.
This is a communion sacrifice. This is give me a direct audience.
Okay. Do I think this is a case of we're sacrificing one person, or do I think this is a case of the doors are going to be locked and we're all going to be dead?
You have no idea. The particulars of this ritual are, you know, the pieces, but you can't fit the puzzle together just yet.
All right. Do I have a okay? Do I have a sense that there may be pieces that I'm missing? Like that there may be other parts of it. If I spent a little time digging around, I could maybe piece some of this together.
Again, you have the layout of,
Mm-hmm.
but for this sort of thing, it makes sense that this is a multi-story building.
Mm-hmm.
There would be, for this to directly pull the attention, if not possibly direct presence of whatever it is they're communing with, this needs to be a pattern that is repeated and reinforced.
Got it. Okay. So probably not one person that's going to die here. At least one per floor would then be my guess. Um,
Perhaps. I'm going to ask you for another very odd roll.
okay, sure.
In this case, I am specifically looking either for a let's see here. Yeah, we'll go with library use,
Mm-hmm.
law, yeah, library use or law.
Okay, I do not have anything in law, so I will give you library use. Damn. Roll 20 really coming after me tonight.
Yeah, again, as you can't help but look up at that ceiling. Again, the wind is howling, and it's almost like you can hear along the wind an echo of your mother's scream.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome.
As you see this pattern. And as Grace slips away from you and gradually walks mindlessly to the center of the room, we're going to cut back over to Phineas.
Nope, 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 nope.
Phineas.
Yeah.
I have
News.
Problem this all the time.
So you're trying to get an idea of if your rivals have clocked that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're looking about that clump, it's when you notice that one of them is seemingly missing.
Ah.
Specifically, Lily Mae Henderson.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And as you look about the room, you see her specifically locking the door in.
Damn it. That bitch.
Cool.
And then a voice going, "Ladies, gentlemen, please take your seats." And that's where we're going to end for the night.
Great. I love it.
Oh, we got trouble.
Nice. Excellent. That is actually a good place to end because a lot of what I was going to be doing was going to depend on Lillian. So it's,
Yeah.
I have a plan. I just have to see what's what happens and if she's good with it, which probably I think it's basically the plan we said, but we're gonna we have to actually do it. Awesome, excellent. I can't wait to see how this goes. And I think this is going to be an absolute delight. As the horror continues to unfold, it is a joy, such a joy. Well then, we're going to go around and do our outros. Feel free to tell folks where they can find you, plug anything you like, and give any final thoughts you had about this session or favorite bits or whatnot. And as always, as we're going in reverse order, we're going to start with our keeper, Pope.
Hey everybody, Pope here. Pope World Build all over the internets. Most actively over on Blue Sky and start playing games. I have a few things currently on offer. Few things are wrapping up that don't seem to I have either gotten the timing wrong or the interest wrong for what I thought folks wanted. But again, this is a learning process. But I can say currently there is still a 40K game on Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. As if you want to have intrigue on the battlefield and have all of the good dystopian feels, please come on by for that. There are 3 slots available. There's also 3 slots available for Urban Shadows. We just got that up and running. That is on Sundays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Uh, right now, the players I have are all of the night. It is proving rather interesting. Uh, we just got through our preliminary first session 0, which was a lot of safety tools and world building. We have the skeleton of a town called Hallows Gate, which is off of one of the rivers in Virginia, near the coast. It has a very, very long history. They have set up power to be rather influential. And if you know anything about urban shadows, the Wild faction fucked things up spectacularly in its history, but are now back in a gated community. It is delightfully awful. So, please, love to have you there. And if you have any suggestions as for time slot or things of interest, I'm currently working on a once a month cyberpunk red. They'll be on Thursday nights. Tentatively, we already have 2 folks for that, so there'll be 3 seats remaining. That will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, though it might move up to 7. I'm not quite sure yet. But it is one where it's going to be both heavy in the paint for mechanics and really heavy in the paint and RP. So please, if you're interested, drop me a line. You can do that through either Start Playing Games or over on Blue Sky. Thank you so much for being here tonight with all these incredibly wonderful people. I love seeing, like, our trouble twins are very interesting in that one definitely still has guilt. And another one most certainly does not. He does not have guilt, but the interesting thing that I saw tonight is he might just have scruples. And I wasn't expecting that.
Relative scruples.
Yes, but from everything we've seen from Matthias Dorn, this was the most shocking.
There are just some lines you don't fucking cross.
And then we see the moment with Phineas with like the claw machine pickup of the candy was just so good. So good. Let alone we're starting to see the cracks as it seems as though like there has already been the hint that he is on the clock. Now it feels like he's on the clock. And then poor Kenneth, I should say Kyle, who seems to be surprisingly gung-ho as everything is accelerating and accelerating and accelerating. But also, I'm getting almost the strange feeling that if anyone's going to survive this, it might only be him, or it may very well be just Nev.
That's more likely.
We shall see going forward. And thank all of you, our live VOD YouTube stories, Nothing Without Its Audience, you're much part of this as we are. Please, please, in what is amounting to some very dark times ahead, I want you to be kind to yourself. And I want you to give yourself the grace of hope. Love y'all. See you soon.
Thanks very much for that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, what a story this is. This is really turning out delightfully. I just cannot wait to see what happens. But yeah, as for Kenneth's stoic, the stoic way in which he's taking everything, that's just because he's getting keyed up. This is where he kind of lives to an extent when it's adrenaline time, and it's like you're any and everyone might be about to die. That's that's an environment he's more used to. So but the times he's worried is when there's crap going on he doesn't understand, and he's helping people. He has to haul a rope upstairs for reasons he doesn't know why, and people are falling out of eldritch windows, and there are terrifying things eating the train. But imminent death, he gets that. And he generally has one reaction to it, and it's a type of reaction that generally may mean he's not likely to survive, but he has so far. We'll see. But that said, as we continue around, we're going to head over to Danielle.
Hi, everyone. I am Danielle. My socials are in the chat. I am not doing anything other than this game, so you can catch me here, and you can follow me on socials for Let's Play things, other general nerdery of that nature. Yeah, if Grace gets hurt here, I do think Evie is gonna feel bad about it. Not for very long, maybe, but certainly she will feel bad about it. Yeah. But if that means if losing Grace means getting her mother back, that's a trade she will make. So yeah, things are about to get interesting. Looking forward to seeing how this fun whatever ritual is happening here ties into everything else that is currently going on.
Yay! Awesome. Excellent job with the guards, by the way. Shortly before they met their demise, but at least they had
at least they had a nice last happy interaction.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. They
went out on a high note, sort of.
Exactly. Awesome. And now we'll head over to Hollow.
Hi, I'm Hollow. Yeah, it was surprising, even for me tonight, that I decided to make this sort of turn with not even a turn, just like this new facet of where is the line for Matthias, and apparently it's truly monstrous people, truly decadent people, but also people who would dare to kick him out of anywhere. I cannot align myself with those people. That is ridiculous. Also, this was a game where I did not have Lillian to complain at. So it was like, oh, these are the part of the crew I would maybe, get out of the fire. Not Lillian. Not that.
That is awesome.
And we're in a dangerous place where there are people who would spend anyone's lives in this place like chips. And that's not cool. If anybody's going to spend these lives, it's going to be me, but only under dire circumstances. You're my chips, damn it.
That's so good. I love that so much. And just the consistency, and yet this is the thing, is we're still seeing is Dorn is completely consistent in how he is handling all these things. It's just great. And finally we will head over to Celeste.
Hi, I'm Celeste. Theoretically. You can find me over on Blue Sky. I'm still not terribly active there. life has happened, and moving all of my social media stuff has kind of taken a backseat. So, you know, you can imagine the concerns of my loved ones versus having to rejig my social media. I think there's a clear winner in what I'm going to prioritize. But yeah, also, you're going to notice a little link for GoFundMe for a local nonprofit called Gunner's Wheels. They are a nonprofit that they're trying to make wheelchairs for dogs. Like, can you think of anything better? Like, I mean, like there are a lot of really worthy causes out there. Don't get me wrong, but like wheelchairs for dogs. Come on. So they're looking for a little financial help. If you got some spare money to throw their way, they'd really appreciate it. I'm also going to be talking to some people. I'm going to try to get a charity due put together over the next few weeks to try and drum them up some support. But if you want to go link the GoFundMe's on my links, and they also have a Facebook page. So if you wanted to go have a look and look at their mission statement and stuff and see what they're all about, I'm sure they'd really appreciate. At the very least, shout outs from people, because like they're great. They're trying really hard out here to do something, to put some good in the world, and we need that right now more than ever. Like, we need some good. So this is unequivocal good. So, you know, let's go. But yeah, great game. Love these folks. Love Pope. Always love playing at Pope's tables. I'm playing at Pope's table tomorrow night with the 40K. You should come hang out. You should come get in on this. It's a great time. I'm having a great time. And also tonight was I really liked getting some terrible things to happen to Phineas. That was a good time. The second Pope was like, okay, how is Phineas going to remember this? I knew exactly what I was going to jump to, because I literally remembered this story that I saw on like the Maury Povich show when I was like 14 about somebody who was afraid of Jello because their brain linked it with trauma, with something terrible that they'd seen. And I was like, I'm using that. Beg, borrow, steal, baby.
Absolutely.
All things are derivative. Nothing is new. Nothing is new. All art is derivative. You can't change my mind. Anyway, I'm gonna let Jim finish this thing up before I ramble for 10 hours. Have a good night, y'all.
That was a good pull, by the way. That was very good. And I just I love how Phineas just basically still, even despite all the horrible things that are happening, is still seems to be trying to keep the wheels from falling off. So it's just
listen. If the wheels fall off, we don't get out of the garbage. We want to get out of the garbage, so the wheels have to stay on.
I don't know how many wheels we still currently have, but we'll see how it goes.
All we need is
and
two.
How many? Excellent. Well, and that leaves me. Who the hell am I again? At the moment, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch, YouTube, and most social media platforms. So wherever I'm not OtherDoc, I'm Jim Yes That Jim. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. Down below, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can access my website, social media links, YouTube channel, and various other things. Let's see. Things that are happening. As far as this, so on alternate Saturday nights, I'm back to running tech over on Encounter Online for their D&D game, for anyone who wants to go and not see me, but have me occasionally referred to and see and watch the transitions that happen on the screen. That's basically how what I'm doing. As far as this channel goes, so ordinarily on Thursday, we would have Lucci and I would be playing Enchanter, but alas, real life struck, so we're not going to be doing that this coming week. I may be playing video games or what have you. I've got to get back to Frostpunk. It's vitally important for my addiction. So that's very likely to happen soon, hopefully. And I've got a bunch of stuff going on that things are very slowly progressing with in the gaming world, and hopefully there'll be more to talk about soon. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody. But But that aside, we have in 1 week more of this on Friday evening as we are spiraling toward something. Is it oblivion? Hard to say. Is it a labyrinth is it a hellish labyrinth? It could be that. Don't know. But I am excited to find out whatever it is. So when we hit the end card, we're going to go say hi to someone. Probably basics of the game, as it looks like they've just started their 7th Sea campaign. They're on the first episode, looks like. So if we can, we'll go say hi to them. I don't know what their settings are, so we're going to try to raid. But if not, we'll raid somebody else. Feel free to hang on if you're so inclined and say hi to them with us. That, again, will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, please remember, especially now, that you are unique, and that is wonderful, because variety is important and you matter. Please remember to take care of yourselves. Remember, you can absolutely give yourselves grace when you need to. Take care, and we will catch you next time. Farewell.